YouTube, welcome back to the end times with Archaon the Everchosen. We're going to start this one off by saying that Archaon feels the end of the Empire is near. Folks, we're going to start this episode off with a little story from Terhilius, who has brought you some really good stuff in the past, and this time he says it's a little story about Sigvald and the Polisher, his metal sorcerer. "What do you mean you cannot clean it up?" hissed Sigvald, gripping the pommel of his blade. The Polisher said nothing at first, his eyes going from his lord's enraged face to the growing pyramid of heads the Mirror Guard were starting to build. He knew how one wrong word would see his head added to that pile, so he chose his words carefully. "If your cape was made of metal, my beloved prince, then maybe I could. Alas, my spells have no effect on cloth," began the sorcerer. "Still, we could always find you a better cloak, one which is truly worthy of your beauty. Maybe when the Everchosen sacks Altdorf, we can ask him to bring us one from the Imperial Palace. Change this fine piece of art for some unworthy piece of cloth? This cape was made to match my impeccable armor perfectly. The prince's demonic weavers themselves made it for me, and me alone, promising no other cape would ever match its beauty. And now it has been sullied." The Polisher spared the long, white cape a quick glance. If you looked closely, you would be able to spot a black dot no larger than an insect. It had happened during the last attack to the steam tank, just as the trolls pushed back the armor plating so Sigvald could slaughter the machine's terrified crew. As if it was torn apart, some of the tank's blood spilled out, with a single drop touching the champion's cape. Sigvald froze at the moment, then looked back at the minuscule dot, with one eye twitching and the others filled with red veins. As the prince continued to rant, an idea popped into the Polisher's mind. "My prince, wait. I think there's still hope. Far beyond the Sea of Claws, in the island continent of Ulthuan, all the clothes remain clean for thousands of years. I heard whispers that there is a secret to this, a secret potion only the elves know of." Sigvald's eyes widened. "Is this true?" "Yes. It is called Tide Detergent. A gift from the sea god, I believe." "It is settled then. Find me a fleet, Polisher, for tomorrow we sail for Ulthuan," announced Sigvald. Once the prince was out of earshot, the Polisher let out a sigh of relief. With any luck, the rumors he had heard were true, and the tide really existed. If not, well, at least he had gained a few extra months of life. What do you folks think? I tried to give it some dramatic reading, because I think with all that writing, Terhilius deserves it. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure and call him out in the chat and say thanks. Alright, as far as some of the other comments out there, people are wanting to see specific things go into Felman Ingerson's army. I think you all are mostly happy with what I have going in there, though it does look like it might be good. I think some folks wanted to see some aspiring champions, maybe a Chaos Giant as well, because we have not seen the Chaos Giant yet. I was actually going to place the Chaos Giant in Patchy the Eversalt's army. We can replace one of the units there with said giant, thinking probably just one of the Chaos spawn will replace it with the giant. I like to keep the armor piercing of the trolls. Let's check out Patchy Eversalt's building capabilities here. Yeah, he does not have the right building. If we want to recruit the giant, he's going to need this right here, but it doesn't come until he has 7 growth points, which he currently does not. So we will gain it soon, and as far as Sigvald, I want to replace the Hell Cannons in my army, which we can now do. On the next move, we'll camp, and we'll replace the 2 Hell Cannons that he had in his army. Folks, the Empire is on its knees, and we are going to end it this episode. They only have a few settlements remaining in the south, and they will be squishy and weak. So we're going to march south with Sigvald, with Patchy, with Archaon, and we will end the Empire, while Kholek and Felman Ingerson end the couple of settlements that they have here in the north. The Mooch, von Karstein factions continue to spread into the lands that I've cleared, including Manfred, and they'll have another day of reckoning, except they won't survive this day of reckoning, dead or undead. Not going to happen. Let's get rid of this building, since we're not going to be using Marauders in Patchy's army. Actually, I'm on the wrong army there. My bad. Let's get rid of this building. So, we're still recruiting with Kholek. It's going to take a little time, unfortunately. I hate waiting, but I don't think that I have much of a choice at this juncture. Let's see here. I do have a couple of hell cannons. We do not have access to aspiring champions yet in this army, so we'll have to wait. Let's start with this, and then we can get the newer buildings as needed. The growth in Kholek's horde is progressing quickly, and then we should be able to put in this building here, the Blasphemous Icon, once we hit 14 growth in total. Or if we have the growth, we can put that building into Felman's army. Let's end the turn. After we make our movements, of course. Getting ahead of myself here. I think I'm going to swing Archaon straight towards the heart of what's left of the Empire, towards the Reichland. And I'm going to take Prince Sigvald and Patchy and head towards the outskirts, cleaning up some of the filth as we go. So that should keep us in a good position. As far as the next research goes, there's not a whole lot else here that I need at this point. This one does add extra ammo and drop reload time for hell cannons, which certainly wouldn't be a bad thing in the end, while also making our chariots a bit better. Well, folks, Sextus still just can't stay away from the vampires, apparently, as one of them caught up with him. Oh boy. Sextus and his vampire girlfriends. It's just love at first bite, folks. Oh, the lame joke. It doesn't make Sextus feel any better. I forgot to switch marching stances. That's a mistake on my part. Appius, on the other hand, apparently took one turn to not sleep with a vampire, which is in and of itself a bit of a surprise. Let's continue to finish his skill tree. The Polisher. What a story. On the search for Tide detergent. No doubt most of the Empire will be eating Tide Pods right now, as that'll be about all that's left to them after all the destruction that's rolled through. Let's improve Searing Doom. We've moved a character to the Gormandy Mountains for the Orac armor, and we can now fight for it, which will give Sigvald the ability to replenish. So we'll want to take advantage of that. So it is time for us to fight said battle for the Orac armor. Let's read about it. Sliver Slash, we need to carry out a successful assassination attempt still. The sorcerer sends word that he has located the Golden Warrior and stands ready to transport his lord to the location. Sigvald indulges himself with a last yearning gaze into his mirror. Oh boy, don't you know it. His mind filled with a shining vision of himself clad in the Orac armor, without that drop of steam tank blood on it, right? Perfection in both form and function as he blesses the battlefield with new depths of cruelty. Alright, so here's what we get from the Orac armor. A nice ward save, the passive healing, wound recovery time, enemy agent chance drop, 6 armor, 6 defense. Lots of good stuff. Let's teleport. Let's take care of it. We have to fight Barbarous Bubonicus, who apparently is very, very plague-ridden.
Ah, my loyal minions. Over the way stands something I want. I need. Beatific mail, wasted on the clueless worm who wears it. It is only right I take it from him. And if you, my serfs, die in agony during the attempt, then know that I'll feel your pain. Why, I will relish it! To the champion in my armor. Yes, you may have heard of me. I am Sigvald the Magnificent, the Gerald Prince of Slaanesh. I do not blame you if hearing my name has caused you to void your bounds. Just make sure the Orac armor is clean when I come to take it. You could hand it straight over, of course, but I have seen your kind before. You will be irksome and make me fight for it. No matter, I could do with a workout, but do not overvex me, or your death cry will be especially shrill, and I do hate to taint my ears with such cacophonic nonsense, if I can bear it!
Ooh, I like that vain speech. Sigvald and his men charge towards the golden pillar and into battle for the Orac armor. Barbarous Bubonic on the other side. Let's go take a look at him, leading his armies. His foul host, not worthy of being in the presence of Sigvald. Here he is, his disgusting goitered face. How dare he defile the Orac armor with his filth. And battle begins, with Barbarous himself charging into the Everwardens. Probably not the smartest place to be. Fortunately for him, the Everwardens were paying attention elsewhere. Wow, it gave him quite the charge there. Stinking cheater. In any case, the battle's going to unfold here. You see over here we've been attacked by some armored Chaos Trolls. And my Chaos Warriors and Mirror Guard, as well as Sigvald and aspiring champions, will clash. And then the Polisher is right next to his lord in battle, ensuring that no more spots get on that cape. Heaven forbid any spots end up on Sigvald's cape. He would not allow it. You can see there's a giant smashing our men in the distance, and the Polisher momentarily will be able to use his great magics against the enemy. Over here on this flank, I've got some halberds engaged with the character against the Chaos Knights, and over here Bubonicus begins to fall, and we've used the Helm of Discord, so this will debuff significantly the Chosen who are fighting against us in the middle. So we are up against some pretty tough foes here. Some pretty tough foes, and there are reinforcements. Chaos Marauders and Chaos Warriors incoming as well. We've now gotten a final transmutation, and the center of the Chosen will begin to melt. Bubonicus routs and flees for his pathetic life. My Everwardens are left to face a terrorizing giant, but fear is not something that they know, and they will do just fine, whereas my cavalry has fully encircled the enemy Chaos Warriors and will quickly put them to rout. Look at this glorious background. Worthy of Sigvald. Such vanity, a giant golden pillar. Doesn't deserve to be defiled by the filth creatures that are here. And again, the enemy is encircled in the middle, and the Chosen begin to crumble. Sigvald is using all of his abilities, our halberds, and a character finishing off the cavalry in the background. There's a whole bunch of Marauder horsemen who are sitting annoyingly back, throwing their javelins and their axes into the fight, thinking that they'll be able to get away with such things, but I know that that's not true. Bubonicus re-enters the battle, having found his spine laying on the ground next to the little girl's room on the way out. He decides that maybe he should continue fighting, at least for the time being, letting his giant do the work for him. This giant is tough. It will deal a lot of damage, but in the end, it won't be enough. It won't be enough. Bubonicus routs yet again. No doubt, headed out to find the nearest place where he can cry, the nearest safe space. I was able to use some Searing Doom to destroy some of the horsemen who are throwing their javelins at me, so they can be annoying as they wish. Their fate will be sealed soon. The Chaos Marauders, who have come reinforcing with their disgusting puke green outfits, are being ripped to shreds by our Sornling. He once sat in the Gormandy Mountains camping, but he camps no more unless it's on the corpses of the enemies of the Geld Prince of Slaanesh. And you can see here that the Geld Prince is doing quite well. Doesn't have a lot of kills to his name, but his armor is probably clean. He stayed near the Polisher, and here Bubonicus goes down, cowardly, taken down in a rout. You can see the icon there, which means that his troops will soon fall with this beautiful backdrop. All this gold, soon to belong to Sigvald. Searing Doom called in by the Metal Sorcerer. Look at the Mirror Guard here, fighting bravely, even against Chosen. They're the Chosen of Sigvald. That's good enough for them. Despite the best efforts The enemies of Sigvald, they'll be slain. You see the giant fleeing in the background. No creature can stand against the might of Sigvald the Magnificent. Just let you all soak up some cinematic goodness here. As the prince finishes the fight for his Orac armor, which will give him tremendous abilities. You know, I can't even see the spots on your robe from here, Sigvald. It's looking quite good. It's looking quite good, sir. Victory belongs to the prince. Well, that was indeed a magnificent victory. A victory worthy to earn us the Orac armor. No doubt the Polisher, even now, is cleaning it out from the evacuated bowels of its previous owner. Hey, they said it in the battle, folks. I didn't even have to make up the poo joke this time. They said it. So indeed, we win. Sigvald gains his first legendary item, and will now be even stronger in combat. He's already fairly tanky because of some of the different abilities and everything that we've given him. Causes terror, divine lust. I remember not being terribly, like, blown away by this stuff. This stylish really actually would be quite good. Quite good. Let's go with egomaniacal and then stylish. We can then move to self-obsessed, and then I don't really care as much about driven by lust. Probably driven by lust first, and then born to serve, and of course we'll unlock unworthy. We'll make sure that we get all the points for him to fully fill out that character. Just recruiting going on. We do have some movement points that we can use at this time. So let us move Sigvald closer to the next Empire targets. Put him in encampment to replenish. We'll do the same thing with Patchy the Eversalt. Cocoa Pox successfully was the one that kicked off that battle, so he has served what his masters asked him to do. He can now return from the Gormandy Mountains, hopefully not stopping for a date with the von Karsteins, as Sextus and Appius so often seem to forget. Felman Ingerson's army can be upgraded. Let's build that warband of chaos. A defensive alliance with Lokir Felhart. This may make sense. Let's take this for now. As long as he's not against the Cult of Pleasure, which is our military ally, we'll use the Dark Elves to our purpose. Assault units a success. Don't toy with me. The Kentucky Friar, Flame and Salt, the Chaos Sorcerer, I guess is back from probably, once again, a temporary date with a vampire would have to be my guess. My men really need to learn their lesson. Either that or I need to just kill off the vampire characters following me with Sextus once he makes his return. And that quite possibly might be my next move. I'm going to go ahead and force march. I don't want to waste time any more than I have to. I want the Empire destroyed. Thoroughly. Alright, so for the Kentucky Friar, let's finish amping up the Burning Head. Actually, let's start with Flaming Sword of Ruin. Then we'll finish amping up the Burning Head. Those two will be nice, as they can either buff blobs of infantry or burn up blobs of enemy infantry. Or our own, I suppose, if they're in the wrong place. Weissmund here left little by way of resistance. We've got lots of trickster shards. Apparently we've killed lots of tricksters along the way. Karoberg and then Altdorf lie in front of us for Sigvald and Patchy, Gorsel, Marienburg, and Eilhart. Let's see how close we are here. A few more turns. One more turn, actually, and we'll get on the move again with Kholek and his army. Smash Fort Ostrov to get these rats out of our way, and then destroy Erengrad, Zoishank, and Bay of Blades to ensure the defeat of the Empire is thorough and complete. Felman Ingerson is ready to smash some rats, folks, as is Kholek. The wait has taken long enough. Let's swap these armies back.
The gods direct me. I will destroy. You dare. Ready. Unstoppable. We shall serve.
Alright, we'll have the reinforcements here. I'm actually going to siege just momentarily. I don't actually need to siege. Let's just continue. I just want to get Cocoa Pox into the army here and ensure that we are fully ready for the smashing of the rat-infested fort. Looks like we need to replace our marks of Nurgle, one of which will have to go on our dragon again. Or hang on, that was the Mark of Tzeentch, my bad. The Mark of Nurgle, I think the defense. Let's put that on the Summoners of Rage. This is a familiar looking scene for my armies. They've been here before. Fort Ostrov fell previously. And it'll fall again. The AI is starting to make me mad as they do this, where I go to destroy the gates and they simply come out of the gates, making it very difficult for me to find a way through. And this time, there is a great deal of rats defending. Skull-X is going to immediately burn up most of the Poison Wind Globadiers, who would mean to do a lot of damage to my troops, but you can see that there is a lot of Skaven artillery in the background guarding Fort Ostrovsk. They are quite blobbed, but there are rat ogres mixed in amongst them, and it could be a bit dangerous to send a unit back here to get it singled out, but the amount of anti-large damage those cannons can cause is significant, and due to the bugs, nay, I guess this point, the rodents is what we'll call it in the software. Kholek gets trapped behind the gate, and his enemies may think that that is some kind of benefit to them, but it won't be a benefit. And they can train all their artillery on him if they wish. The God of the Mountain strikes them with his lightning, and his fury will be absolutely unleashed on his enemies. He's already got 146 kills in a very brief amount of time. I'm going to continue to issue orders to try and destroy the gate. I was trying to get Kholek out, but I can see it's not going to happen. At this point, Felman's army is here. The two Manticores, and I need you guys to help me name these two Manticores. This would be quite fun. Let's give them some very good names. Skull-X is going to come in and join them. And if you thought the terror routes in my previous videos were impressive, prepare to be impressed yet again. There seems to be no limit to the size of the terror route that we can cause on the Skaven. Skull-X is once again going to kill hundreds of rats in one breath. And then our two Manticores that you can name, perhaps based on their performance here, are going to dive in along with Skull-X and Kholek. And the amount of splash damage that they're dealing here will be absurd. You can see very quickly that the Skaven resolve breaks near instantly. I'm continuing to focus on the gates, and I'm getting a few hits in, but it's difficult. You see the gates are still at 82% damage. It's getting very, very frustrating. I've got another Shaggoth trapped inside the gates, and the bug of the gate opening AI takes its toll yet again. It's an absolute rat stomp inside the gates, and there are thousands of rat corpses already littering the grounds. I finally have my Shaggoths getting some attacks in on the gates. You can see the bugs continue with the gates, but the hits also continue. The Warp Lightning Cannon's savaging one of my units. I've got my Forsaken, who are now clambering over the walls. They'll come up here and bring their strange crustacean appendages to bear all over the Skaven. It's like a surf and turf entree served up. Except it's really disgusting because it's rodents and Forsaken. The main gate is broken, and all the Shaggoths have their mind set to one thing and one thing only. Skaven artillery will be silenced. Its pesky blows have been tolerated for far too long, and it is causing quite a lot of damage, but we're not going to allow it. We need to name all these Shaggoths too. believe there's 4 Shaggoths. I believe one of them has a name already. It'd be great for all of them to have their individual names so that their heroic deeds in the battles to come can be known. You see Kholek here is going to unleash his lightning on these artillery pieces. Causes a good deal of damage. This will silence a decent amount of the artillery. This will be so close that the enemy won't really be able to fight. My Forsaken have already begun to capture the walls. One of the berserking manticores is attacking one of the assassins on the wall, a warlock engineer. The other is being called to the artillery fight. Summoners of Rage are also moving in. They should have access to their chain lightning ability here very soon. They've only just gotten to be in combat. Skullex is going to move in behind the enemy and drop his final breath attack before diving in to continue routing rats en masse. Just look at this scene, folks, at Fort Ostrov. Just look at the scene. Dragon's breath raining down, hundreds of dragon ogres in the background, a great dragon of chaos, the Lord of the Mountain and his Shaggoths, gore beast chariots, Forsaken, trolls. Are you not entertained? It's the only thing I have to say at this point. Are you not entertained? And you know you are. Fort Ostrov has fallen. Morlock out of the way once again. He has no place standing in front of the armies of Kholek or Felman. That's been proven time and again. And with this rat out of the way, the last shield between Kholek and the remaining colonies of the Empire is no more. Just get some last sweet goodness here. As the last few Skaven troops are destroyed in a lightning storm brought by the Summoners of Rage. Their fury now unleashed. The last Skaven defeated. Overkilled by hell cannons. Good grief. Have you ever seen so much brute strength in a total war battle? And I mean brute, quite literally there. 456 kills to Skullex the Great, 251 to Kholek, 116 to the Summoners of Rage. Those rats had very little chance of ever making anything good happen for themselves there, and Morlock is once again severely defeated at the hands of Kholek. He is not faring well, and they might want to consider a new faction leader if that's an option to them. We've picked up a Talisman of Endurance, which will give a 15% ward save to whomever we place it upon. That would actually probably be pretty good for Felman Ingerson to get started. I think he's earned it, especially considering that fight that he had previously, in which he had to overcome some pretty amazing odds getting ambushed by the Skaven. So I say that we give him the talisman that he's earned. We'll hand him this potion of strength. There's a Helm of Discord for him. There is no weapon yet, but we can give his army this Mark of Nurgle that he can assign. Let's see. These casualties captured, extra research rate, all of these things we will take. Construction cost, why not? Alright, so another great victory for Kholek and Felman, who now work side by side in one gigantic horde that is able to dominate the power of anything that they meet on the battlefield. Quite handily, I might add, quite handily.
God of mountains!
Kholek, you are the god of more than mountains at this point, my giant Shaggothi friend. Let's see here. I think we were going to work on his personal beatdown capabilities as if they weren't already gruesome enough. So the rats are out of our way. The remainder of the Empire lands are ready for us to savage, ready for us to savage both in the north and in the south. Gorsil will be smitten and destroyed. Let's actually encircle. That way I get the experience points with both leaders as I move up to take control here. So let's take command. Gorsil falls. Raised for the dark favor. Sigvald gains another point. We can now put this one into self-obsessed. So the stats are looking quite good for Sigvald and his army at this point. The stats on our warriors growing steadily. And remember that if we get any of them to rank 9, we're able to replace them with Chosen, which would be quite fun. Our character has leveled up here. Let's give him some extra charge as he's on a big monstrous mount. Just kind of makes sense for him at that point. Let's head into an encampment with him. Marienburg is in our sights. And as for Archaon, he'll move forward towards Karoberg. There are a few flailing armies of the Empire here. Volkmar and Todbringer, fresh off their loss, as well as Karl Franz. No doubt they may even attack him on the next turn in, but let's be honest, folks. Could they possibly succeed against such odds? Would be interesting. So Karl and his lackeys do decide to attack during the turn in. There's going to be quite a lot of them. Quite a lot. They have a lot of artillery as well. But let's see what happens. We don't even have Sextus once again. They always injure him at very opportune moments. Here we are with the Lord of the End Times, and you can see the Emperor in the background. He's hoping to make one final stand. Appius drops a merciless pit of shades on a blob of units, and the Luminarch of Hysh opens fire to begin one of the final battles of the Empire. Bravely, Karl Franz even descends into the fight, but Archaon will move in to make swift work of the Emperor, who has no business in a fight with the Slayer of Kings. Let's take a look at this real quick. You see, initially Karl seems somewhat resistant to the beating that Archaon has to deliver, but it won't last long. The Luminarch of Hysh gets off another brilliant shot, but Appius is there to mulch through its drivers and get it off the battlefield quickly, and you can see how fast Archaon starts to carve a swath through Karl Franz, and really the only damage coming to Archaon through his Forbidden Rod ability, which does damage to himself in order to replenish the stores of magic. Karl's going to quickly flee, even though his lackey captain came to try and save him, and Archaon pops a fireball, and only because of the timely ascent of his Pegasus is Karl missed, but he won't escape the battlefield so easily. Archaon drops into pursuit, while the Swords of Chaos wreck that Empire captain, and in the distance, all of Karl Franz's army already lays in waste, while Volkmar and his reinforcements move forward, hoping to salvage the situation, but it does indeed look very bleak already. The Luminarch came back from routing, popped off one shot, and then took off running, and I have to pause this moment, because here, folks, is the fate of the Emperor of Men. The fireball from the Lord of the End Times, about to singe clean the tainted leadership of the Empire. Very poetic of what's about to happen to their lands. Ooh. A gruesome, flaming end for Karl Franz. Wow, that was a strange camera move there. I got skills, folks. So let's take a look at Volkmar's army here that's coming in to support. The Reichsmarschall is here as well. Todbringer, you can see him here, and Volkmar has been riding around on his steed as well, attempting to cause trouble. The Empire infantry is hit by a bit of fratricide here. My men fresh off of slaughtering the Emperor's men. No fear. They'll charge straight in. Completely unfazed by the second group of Empire hosts. You can see Boris coming in, hoping to defeat my Knights of Chaos. The infantry of the Empire once again going to be savaged by a pit of shades, and Appius himself is going to swoop in and attempt to destroy the Reichsmarschall. In the background, Archaon is going to go deal with the regrouped Luminarch of Hysh. You can see it is in the very far background. It is dead. More and more reinforcements pour on for Volkmar, and my forces begin to envelop the left flank of the Empire. The Empire cavalry courageously engages against the Knights of Chaos. They have a numbers advantage, at least for now, but I don't know that I would agree that they have any type of quality advantage. The Reichsmarschall continues to fight on. Appius, servant of Archaon, is tearing through the Empire troops. The rockets continue to pour in fire, and I've got knights now that have pierced through the Empire's left flank and are able to get to the skirmishers, and another is able to charge down the rocket batteries. So here you can see the crossbowmen are caught, and my extra Knights of Chaos here will be able to push on back towards the rocket battery, only temporarily held up by a unit of Reichsguard attempting to stop them, but they're able to get around them. They'll make a run for the rocket battery while the last remaining troops of the Empire begin to fall. Volkmar the Grim runs around aimlessly, looking for anything he can do to salvage the situation. Boris Todbringer routs in terror. Castellan Engineer, what a joke. Archaon was surrounded by Empire Knights, but burns his way free. Volkmar attempts to be brave, but then realizes that he is only a coward and a fool in his heart. And if the Emperor couldn't stand against this, then what chance did he have? Volkmar's leadership, his resolve fails, and he flees men once again, the coward of the Empire. Once again, all the men of the Empire don't prove the worth of the Ever-Chosen. You can see his army relishes in slaying the state troops, and Karl's army could barely lay claim to any kills. Their army was slaughtered at the far superior hands of Archaon. Archaon's army stands ready to ruin Karlberg, leaving nothing but Altdorf in his path. Ceaseless slaughter. Ceaseless slaughter for Archaon. The Empire cannot stop him at this point. Their hopes are withering like a flower in frozen fields. Actually, I don't know if it would wither. I was trying to be poetic, but I sit there and think about that, and I think it would just freeze solid. That's what I get for trying to be a poet. In any case, we're ready to kick through a turn-in and see if we can put the Empire near its final breath. Let's see, Archaon here can move to Foe Seeker, and then Wound Maker, and eventually we'll do Scarred Veteran as well. Appius levels up. Well, he's going to be way ahead of Sextus in terms of leveling up, because Sextus is always vampire injured. Oh, too far.
Give me lightning!
Zoishank is nearly in reach, but not quite.
Yes, my ruinous powers!
Heal up in camp,
It is so.
and let's build this blasphemous icon. And so we'll be able to recruit the remaining troops for Felman Ingerson's army, but as of now, he's quite safe in the presence of Kholek. The Skull Takers have joined the war against us. For what purpose, I may never know, as it's the most dull thing that they've ever done, and I'm talking about a greenskin.
You dare! The gods direct me!
Run, pitiful fools. Run. Flee for your pathetic lives.
Shall we decant the wine?
You know, I think that's a good thought, Sigvald. I do think that that is a good thought. We're going to maintain the siege of the city.
Despoil!
Marienburg is about to fall.
Witness my beauty.
I was hoping that we would destroy the Empire in its entirety in this episode, though that appears to be at least one more episode away, as we really need to relish the fall of Altdorf. Its time needs to be well prepared. The vampires took care of Erengrad for me. I guess they're useful for something, other than being blithering idiots who won't die. I guess probably because they're undead.
Glorifying act!
But Zoishank, however, I have no qualms about auto-resolving that. I know you all won't want me to auto-resolve the fall of Marienburg, Altdorf, and the remainder of the Empire. We've picked up a potion of toughness here as well,
They will be
which again
dominated.
will be a great A great grab for Felman, who is earning these in battle, and as he fights and earns it, then he deserves the spoils. So Felman Ingerson will already be becoming quite the terror on the battlefield. Let's finish off Doom and Darkness, as that will help most armies flee before us easily. As if that isn't already a thing that they do. Pretty sure it is. Let's finish Devastating Charge. Kholek needs to hit very hard on the charge. And folks, this leaves us in the position. The remnants of the Empire, led by Balthasar Gelt, have but only, I think, a few settlements here. There are 4 settlements here in the south, and they have 1 remaining in the north. The Bay of Blades is near its fall. Kholek and Felman will see to that. And then after destroying the Bay of Blades, we're going to awaken our Norse brethren again, so that we have help, ensuring that all these filthy factions don't resettle everything I take. And with the Empire down, we'll inch closer towards our victory goal. The Empire must go. Bretonnia must go, and they are close. Archaon will be hot on them after this. The Dwarves must go. I didn't know there were any left. And then Lothern. We'll go in search of Tide and the Sword of Cain. Is that 2 Swords of Cain? That looks quite wonderful if it is. I'll take 2, please. But yes, Lothern will be in our sights as well. HeirofCarthage signing out for now.